Did you know that many of the espionage techniques still used today have roots that trace back to a single mastermind from centuries ago? This fascinating story will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about modern intelligence gathering. Welcome to another episode of Historical Hidden Gems, where we uncover the stories that history books forget to highlight. Today, we dive into the world of espionage with the incredible story of Sir Francis Walsingham, the man who is widely regarded as the father of modern espionage. Before we unravel his story, let's set the stage. The year is 1580, and England is under the reign of Elizabeth I. The country is facing threats, both foreign and domestic, plots to overthrow the Protestant Queen, rival Catholic monarchs vying for power, and Spain's formidable armada looming ever closer. In this time of international intrigue and political turmoil, England needed more than just a strong navy. It needed intelligence. Enter Sir Francis Walsingham. Who was Walsingham, and how did he come to be one of the most influential spy masters in history? Born in 1532, Walsingham was a lawyer by trade and a devoted Protestant in a deeply divided religious era. His worldview was shaped by the burning tensions between Catholicism and Protestantism, a primary driver of political unrest during Elizabethan times. But as committed as he was to his faith, Walsingham's true talent lay elsewhere, in his ability to gather, analyze, and weaponize information. Walsingham's journey into espionage began when Elizabeth I appointed him as her Secretary of State in 1573. But his job was far from ordinary clerical work. Essentially, Walsingham was tasked with protecting Elizabeth and her rule from the tidal wave of conspiracies that threatened her very life. To accomplish this, he created what can only be described as the world's first modern intelligence network. Walsingham recruited an intricate web of spies, informants, and undercover agents who operated across Europe. Think of him as a 16th century James Bond, but instead of martinis and gadgets, Walsingham's arsenal consisted of coded letters, secret rendezvous, and a whole lot of cunning. One of Walsingham's most ingenious innovations was his use of cryptography. He established a team of code breakers who could decipher intercepted messages. Back then, ciphers were the primary means of securing sensitive information, but Walsingham's team could crack even the most sophisticated codes of the day. In fact, one of his greatest successes came from using this very skill. The infamous Babington plot, an elaborate scheme to assassinate Queen Elizabeth and replace her with Mary, Queen of Scots, was thwarted by Walsingham's cryptographic prowess. Walsingham's spies intercepted coded messages between the conspirators. Once decrypted, these messages provided ironclad proof of Mary's complicity. Needless to say, this sealed her fate, and she was executed in 1587. But here's the thing. Walsingham wasn't just a cold, calculating spy master. He was a visionary. He understood the power of disinformation and psychological manipulation long before these concepts entered mainstream intelligence operations. Walsingham would often plant false information to sow confusion among his enemies or to lure them into traps. For example, during the tense build-up to the Spanish Armada's invasion of England in 1588, Walsingham spread fake intelligence to make the Spanish second-guess their plans. This, combined with his ability to provide the English Navy with accurate intelligence, played a crucial role in orchestrating England's eventual victory. No spy network is complete without its agents, and Walsingham's were as diverse as they were effective. His espionage organization included everyone from disillusioned Catholic priests to disgruntled former Spanish officers. What's more, Walsingham pioneered the concept of employing double agents, people who pretended to work for Spain or France but were secretly loyal to England. It's no wonder that his tactics and methods are still studied by intelligence agencies around the world. However, espionage on this scale didn't come cheap, and not all of Walsingham's operations were a resounding success. Maintaining his vast network drained his finances, and he often had to fund spy missions out of his own pocket. His pragmatism also earned him his fair share of enemies at court. many viewed his secretive methods with suspicion. Despite these challenges, Walsingham was absolutely relentless. He knew that the fate of England rested on his shoulders, and he was determined not to let Queen Elizabeth down. Sir Francis Walsingham's legacy as a spy master didn't just end with the defeat of the Spanish Armada or the execution of Mary, Queen of Scots. His methods, the use of undercover agents, code breaking, and the strategic deployment of misinformation, became the blueprint for modern intelligence work. He demonstrated that wars aren't won on battlefields alone. They're also won in the shadows, where information is the ultimate weapon. So, the next time you're watching your favorite spy thriller, or marveling at the slick operations of fictional characters like James Bond or Ethan Hunt, take a moment to remember that their exploits might not exist without the real-life genius of Sir Francis Walsingham. He truly was the father of modern espionage, a man who changed the course of history by daring to think in ways that no one else had. Whether you view him as a hero who safeguarded England or a conniving manipulator who played a dangerous game, one thing is certain: Sir Francis Walsingham's influence is undeniable. So, what do you think? Was he a genius ahead of his time, or simply a man driven by the desperate circumstances of his era? Either way, his story reminds us that sometimes the key to survival isn't strength or power, it's intelligence, cunning, and a willingness to embrace the unseen battles of the world.